unfortunately went out of business and closed the doors to the public. And whereas for the first time in nearly a century, there is presently no movie theater operating within the borough, and the mayor and the council expressed strong concerns about the impacts that the now vacant movie theater may have upon Main Street's business corridor. And whereas Cinema Lab, a group of knowledgeable theater investors, will take substantial steps to purchase, renovate, and reopen the former showroom cinema at 110 Main Street as the Bradley, a new 3-screen movie theater with full concessions and other potential enhancements. And whereas the mayor and council believe that reopening the now vacant movie theater is very important to the economic recovery of the borough's Main Street business corridor from the COVID-19 crisis. And whereas the mayor and council believe that the existence of an operating movie theater within the borough's Main Street business corridor provides an anchor and attraction that benefits surrounding businesses and the community as a whole. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and council of the borough of Bradley Beach that the mayor and council find Cinema Lab's proposed plans to purchase, renovate, and reopen the now vacant theater at 110 Main Street to be well thought out, reasonable, and achievable, and would bring substantial enhancements that will benefit the borough's Main Street business corridor. And be it further resolved that the mayor and council of the borough of Bradley Beach, while reserving the right to separately review any future approvals and or permission sought by Cinema Lab without prejudice in the ordinary course, hereby express their support for Cinema Lab's efforts to purchase, renovate, and reopen the now vacant theater at 110 Main Street for the benefit of the Bradley Beach Borough. I'd like to make a motion to pass this resolution.
Hey, point of order, Mr. Mayor, I just, is this appropriate to be doing? We're still kind of in the workshop session. I just want to hear from Greg. Do we need to vote to put that down, like on the agenda as a resolution, or are we able to do this now, Greg?
Well, it's your option, but ordinarily what the practice here has been to amend the lower down agenda or the new business or old business agenda to move it.
So Mr. Mayor,
so you'd be asking for a motion to amend the agenda?
Yeah, just like added, like, I don't know what letter it is, but, you know, make a motion to add what you just read to the agenda as letter, whatever it would be.
Resolution, whatever.
Yeah.
Got it. So to move it over to resolutions of number 13.
Second.
Yeah. Oh, and they get numbers. So I guess it would be like, you know.
Yes.
70.
Yeah, Eric, it'll be 2021-70. So I'll make a motion to move this over to the resolution number 13 up under resolutions of the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Bunnell?
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Okay, thank you. I know that took a little bit of time, but this has been kind of a long time coming. This plan's been operative for 3 or 4 months in the works, so we were anxious to get the conversation going on this. Okay, number 6, receipt of bids or petitions. I'm not aware that there are any, so I'll move to number 7, the approval of minutes. Do I have I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 26, 2021 council meeting.
Second.
Mr. Bunnell?
Abstain.
Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Okay, approval of the executive session minutes of January 26, 2021. Make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Mr. Bunnell?
Abstain.
Okay, sorry about that. Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Okay, let's move to.
I'm sorry, Larry, who seconded for the regular meeting minutes?
I seconded for both of them.
Thank you, Tim. And Randy, did you want to still abstain for the regular meeting minutes?
No, I shouldn't have done that.
Okay, no, that's okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
All right.
great. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Agenda item number 8, administrative report, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, public. Good evening, everyone. Keeping with the Main Street theme tonight, I got a few items that reflect Main Street and small businesses. The governing body will be considering Resolution 2021-67 and 68, which supports various liquor license reform legislation. New Jersey's liquor license laws are among the most restrictive in the country. In fact, the cost of a license in many of our municipalities can easily soar into the 6 or 7 figures, if they are even available. Liquor license restrictions impede the economic development of many communities, especially our downtowns. With the recent introduction of S 2964 and A 4925 by Senator Gopal and Assemblyman Bergen, which is bipartisan, recently joined the chorus of legislators calling for expansion of liquor license laws. These bills address the outdated liquor license laws by creating a new type of license that would allow restaurants to serve non-spirit alcohol. Non-spirit alcohol is beer, wine, and cider at a significantly reduced cost from that of a full license. With our small restaurant owners struggling to survive from the economic havoc of COVID-19, this reform is needed now more than ever. But the pandemic aside, this reform is needed to bring New Jersey's liquor laws into the 21st century and make us more competitive in the region. These two resolutions was brought forth by an entity called the New Jersey Downtown, which is an association that I am a member of, as well as that they have spun off and they have a liquor license reform alliance, which I also joined as well individually. This does not reflect the view of the borough. The governing body is now considering this before them. In these different legislation that's out there, this type of income represents 20 to 30% of a restaurant's income. The state has allowed for takeout and delivery of alcohol beverages and expediting permits to serve liquor outside. So the state is moving in this direction. This group is trying to nudge them even more. Expanded licenses are projected to add almost $1 billion in local and state revenues and add 15,000 plus new jobs. And it proposes a 10-year tax credit to help compensate existing liquor license holders from potential devaluation of their licenses. So this alliance group has presented these two resolutions. It's before the governing body tonight as they vote on it. Moving on to the Grow Monmouth Facade Improvement Program, the Borough and Bradley Beach Business Community Alliance are partnering to bring various economic development tools to the business community. Today, Paula Gavin and I visited Abuelita's Food Market at 408 Main Street, and we'll be working with them to complete the Facade Improvement Program application. This will enable them to receive funds up to about $1,850 to improve their signage and paint their facade. The borough and the alliance are hopeful that this is just one of more to come as we aim to help our small businesses in our downtown area. Also, make an announcement on a new business. Please join me in welcoming E. Holland Sundries, a new bakery at 126 Main Street that recently opened and operates in various farmers and craft markets at the Jersey Shore. It looks like for now they're open on the weekends, and they have a fully operational website for everyone to get a preview at what they have at ehollandsundries.com. And finally, and hopefully this might be close to my last report of the 2019 audit, the CFO and I will be having an exit conference with the auditor on Thursday. That is in 2 days. It is anticipated that at that time we should receive the final audit, but I will provide an update at the next council meeting, what takes place at the exit conference. Mr. Mayor, council, public, that concludes the administrative report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. Good report. Now go to agenda item 9, public comments on agenda items only. Just want to emphasize it's agenda items only, number 1, and number 2, that there is a 5-minute limit on comments. I'll turn it over to you, Dave.
At this time, if you'd like to make any comments, please raise your electronic hands. It could be found under reactions. Also, once you're called upon, if you could please state your name and address. At this time, we have Mr. Thomas Cohen.
Dave, there's a couple hands there, and you kind of faded out, Dave. It was hard to hear you at the end there.
Oh, I called Thomas Cohen, but now he put his hand down.
Oh,
No,
because
sorry, I couldn't hear you. I
Oh,
couldn't-
my bad.
Am I on now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
He's
Thomas
just
Cohen,
saying this
6
is-
Avenue.
This computer, I'm on mute. There's something wrong with his computer.
About this issue of the liquor licenses, I would request that the council vote against resolution 2021-67. I do support resolution 2021-68, which creates the beer and wine licenses. That is something that's a long time coming. But to do both of these, you're really impacting the existing license owners. To create more licenses and then also create the beer and wine licenses is an undue burden on those existing licenses. And by the way, Bradley Beach is currently over licensed, which is good because in the summer months, that helps us fill the seats. But we don't need any new licenses, but to enhance the existing restaurants with beer and wine licenses is something that's been a long time coming. And I think that will really help in the COVID, the non-COVID future, hopefully, to help them recoup. That being said, I would like you to vote no on 2021-67. And I would like to thank the council and the mayor for waiving the sidewalk permits, as we don't know what's around the corner. But that will again help if we can get the outdoor dining enhanced. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next is Bill Shook.
Yes, William Shook, 110 Fifth Avenue, Bradley Beach. Under ordinance 2021-6, where it talks about under 270-25, as far as sprinkler systems in the planting strip. A while back ago, if memory serves me right, that was addressed and it was a permitted area that sprinkler systems would be allowed to be placed there. And I'm noticing that under this ordinance, it's being removed, that sprinkler systems are not allowed. We're asking the people to maintain their grass, upkeep their, maintain their properties. Trees need the water also, and I don't see why we should remove the sprinkler systems. That should be a permitted use. Under, another thing, under the definitions for the Shade Tree Commission under ordinance 2021-6, I strongly feel that the definitions should be consistent with what is currently coming before the planning board. Certain words, definitions are under the municipal land use law ruling and should be consistent in all of our ordinances. We start changing definitions around, like let's say for the shade tree, a particular naming a street, what the definition of a street is, and with the planning board or the Board of Adjustment, street has a completely different. I feel that we should be consistent with all our definitions. That's all I have.
Thank you. At this time, Mayor, there are no other electronic hands, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, David. Let's go to agenda item on ordinances. Just 1 second. We have 3 ordinances for introduction. Ordinance 2021-4, which is an ordinance deleting and reserving Article 8, Quality of Life Committee in Chapter 24, Commissions and Committees of the Borough's Revived General Ordinances. I'd like to make a motion to approve that ordinance.
Point of order, do we have to have a specific public hearing on this, or Greg, are we supposed?
After it's introduced here, that particular ordinance would come back in at the next meeting when it was scheduled for a public hearing.
Sorry, I didn't realize this was an intro. I thought this was.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're all intros tonight. Count.
These
There's
next three,
intros
yeah,
and two adoptions.
as I said, these next three are introductions, and then the fourth and fifth are adoptions.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So I'd second it then, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make sure we're getting the public if we had to.
Yep. Okay, Erica?
Ready. Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, ordinance 2021-5, it's an ordinance amending sections 450-12, 450-13, and 450-26 of chapter 450 zoning of the borough's revised general ordinance to clarify permitting yard encroachments and to provide certain relief to non-conforming lot owners making only minor improvements to the properties within the borough. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Before I vote, I just wanted to make a quick comment for the public's benefit, and that is that a few edits were made from when we workshopped this last meeting, minor edits that we discussed in public about the size of storage sheds, for example. There have been some questions raised by the public around a couple of situations that might occur relative to the height of decks. And I think we'll be able to address those questions, positively or negatively once the planning board has had a chance to review this and this comes back to us for adoption. So with that said, I vote yes.
okay. Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, ordinance 2021-6, it's an ordinance amending chapter 24 commissions and committees and chapter 425 trees of the borough's revised general ordinances to clarify certain aspects of the borough's shade tree commission and tree regulations based upon the commission's suggestions following its first year of operation under the recently modified ordinances. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second that.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, we have two more additional ordinances for adoption. The first is 2021-2. It's an ordinance establishing certain salaries of certain officers and employees of the borough of Bradley Beach. Public Works, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, technical, the range is $25 to $45 an hour. I'd like to make a motion to approve this adoption.
I think at this point, Mr. Mayor, the motion is to open the public comment section.
Oh, this
Public
is
co-
open.
Yeah, open for
Sorry.
public hearing.
I'm sorry.
You
Still
just
a-
need to, make a motion to open public hearing.
I can make a motion to open public hearing. Sorry, rookie mistake.
That's okay.
Second. A second,
Bennell.
Erica.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, Dave?
Yes, I have Thomas Cohen.
Thank you, Thomas Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. I just had a question about this ordinance. Are these people currently working for the borough, or are these going to be new hires?
It's a new hire.
Okay, and it says that they're mechanical, electrical, and plumbing technicians. Are they licensed in plumbing or electric? I mean, those are licensed positions.
They will be.
Pardon?
They will be. The person on later is being hired for mechanical purposes.
Okay.
So Mr. Cohen, I spoke with Public Works last week after the last meeting when we had the resolution concerning the carpenters union. If you remember, I asked the question about why aren't we doing the same thing with these other trades? The answer was basically that these are licensed individuals who are willing to come in and work for the borough on an as needed basis when they need flexible labor force. They typically are not going to be full-time employees or even part-time employees. They're going to get hired for a task. They're going to do their task. This is the pay range. And then at that point, they'll be let go when their services are no longer needed.
Oh, that's great. So they're not full-time employees with pension and everything else that are licensed. They have a license. They're going to come in and do a task, and then that's it.
Is that correct, Mr.
Correct.
Brown?
That is absolutely correct.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for clarifying that, Councilman.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you to you both. At this time, there are no other hands raised. I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Okay,
So
like to
I
make a
think it's a
motion
motion to close the public hearing.
yes, make a motion.
are
to close the
correct.
public
Second,
hearing. Second,
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
yes. Okay, ordinance 2021-3, it's a bond ordinance providing various 2021 capital improvements in the borough of Bradley Beach and County of Monmouth, state of New Jersey.
Larry?
Yes,
I'm sorry. Now you have to make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'm sorry.
That's
So-
okay.
I will make a motion to adopt 2021-2.
Second,
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
It's 2021-3, correct? Or are we
Uh,
still?
2021.
no, two.
Okay, we're finishing 2. Okay.
Right, yeah, so, okay. Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, bond ordinance 2021-3. It's a bond ordinance providing for various 2021 capital improvements by and in the borough of Bradley Beach in the county of Monmouth, state of New Jersey. We're appropriating about $1,161,312, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of a $1,106,010 bond or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Make a motion to open this for public comment.
Second.
Hey, Larry,
Yes.
you should probably read the list of what the money is going to be financed.
Oh. Let me grab that. Actually, Sandy, are you on right now? Sandy Brace? Let me
Yeah,
grab it.
I'm here.
Would you mind just reading that off? Because I'll have to sort through and find it. I'm sure you've got it very handy.
I don't actually have the ordinance in front of me, but I can tell you that it provides for various public works equipment, a new building.
Sandy, I've got it. I
Okay.
I misplaced it for a second. Yeah, there's of the $1,161,000, there's $300,000 for the 303,000 and 312 for the police department acquisition and installation as applicable of non-passenger vehicles and equipment, including but not limited to SUVs, all-terrain utility vehicles, computer technology equipment, not limited to dispatch consoles, mobile dispatch terminals, servers, network components, and computer workstations. Public Works, $758,000, acquisition non-passenger vehicle and equipment, including but not limited to front-end loader and 2 utility pickup trucks, construction of a new garage facility for the Department of Public Works. That would be on the north side of town, and associated relocation of existing diesel fuel storage tank. Administration, $100,000, acquisition and installation of a generator for Borough Hall. Those are the three main components or set of components.
Thanks, Larry.
Mr. Bennell?
Are we voting?
Yeah, this is to
No,
open-
no, we're
open
No,
the
no,
public.
to open the public hearing.
I
opening up a
seconded
public
it.
hearing.
Yeah, I spent some time with G talking about the things that they need. I know a lot of people think that they have all these brand new pickup trucks, but they don't. They have a couple of pickup trucks that are 25, 30 years old. And we looked at refurbishing the loader that we have, and it's just not worth it. That's the biggest ticket item for Department of Public Works.
Quick point of order. Did we carry the vote to open
No,
for the
we're
public?
still
No, we need
voting to open the public hearing, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
open public hearing. John, I believe you did the second on that, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna start roll call again. Councilman Bennell,
Yes.
Councilman Gubatose,
Yes.
Councilman Sexsmith,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes.
And Randy, I got your comment.
Okay, at this time, we have Thomas Cohen.
Thank you very much. Thomas Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. I understand we need to buy things and we need to bond things, and money is pretty reasonable right now in the bonding markets. But what bothers me about this is that the public was not involved or got to watch any of the requests. No department heads were brought in to talk to the council in an open forum. I mean, in my experience as a councilman, when we did budgets and we did capital plans, we brought the department heads in and they justified everything on their budget and they told the story, just like Councilman Bennell now saying, oh, the pickup trucks are older. The public just wants transparency. I'm excited about a new building at the North Yard. I'd like to see it utilized better, but I sure would like to know what it is because the public still hasn't been told what it is. I still would like to see the all-terrain vehicle for the police taken out of this and put in the capital plan budget for the beach, because that's where it's going to be utilized. The taxpayers really shouldn't pay for it out of this. It should come out of that money. But I look for a better process in the future, Mayor and Council. Those type of meetings will be a wonderful way to make things move quickly and let the public really understand where the money's being spent. Thank you.
Alan?
Alan Rappaport, 512 Newark Avenue. I again, as Mr. Cohen has said, I've spent time being a council person, and I think it's very, very, very valuable that, especially on capital, because the ticket is so big that the public gets to hear it during a workshop where the department heads come in and plead their case. And usually, the council liaison is the person that either defends it or has vetted it and said, this is the reason why we need it, and they go through it. As far as the building on the North Yard, I think the council is dutiful to put up a drawing or put up, what's going to be there, what's it going to be used for, what's the building going to look like, how many square feet is it, what's the setback from the railroad. I know that I had spoken to Randy. I don't know how many years ago we spoke about the contamination there with a previous attorney that didn't do his due diligence. I think there's a lot of open-ended things there that some of us who pay attention to what's going on the council would like some answers to. And I know that transparency from all of you is what you're trying to do. And sometimes I guess in the heat of the moment it kind of slips away. But I'm trusting, as I trust all of you, that you're spending the borough's money properly. But I think that in the future, it takes one more step just to bring the public in and say, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. And by the way, I know that Mr. Brown is a QPA, which is qualified purchasing agent and certified that he will search either between state contracts or from other buying groups throughout the country to buy whether it's the police cars or the ATVs or the front end loaders from the best possible price. It's not just bid out locally. He will search it out throughout the country. Am I correct, Mr. Brown?
Correct. And if it doesn't happen that way, it'll come back before this body, the governing body will have to vote on it.
Right. So once again, it's just one of those kind of things that unfortunately or fortunately, Mr. Cohen and I both have a little experience. I need to ask you all to just use the, I hate to say it, the KISS principle. You got to make it simple. Thank you very much.
Al, thanks.
Thank you.
The
Next,
building
we
of
have,
the yard is something that I came up with the concept about 6 years ago now, before we even owned the property. And I will ask that we do a special workshop on that to present the concept that I put together. I actually went out to a couple of metal building vendors that I used in the private sector, and I can actually show you exactly what the building's gonna look like, if this is the one we choose.
I'd love to be part of it. Thank you very much
This
for the
time, everybody good? At this time, we have Nancy Meadow.
Yes, 805 Beach Avenue. I would like to echo what Mr. Rappaport and Mr. Cohen said. And I would also be curious, given the fact that it is our money, does this mean that that Public Works is no longer going to dump their vehicles at the greenhouse and we can have our lovely greenhouse back?
That's part of the plan, Nancy.
Well, again, do we, the public, know this? I mean, there are so many other wasteful ways. And I just, once again, you guys, you let us down by not letting us know. It's really a disgrace. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, if there's no other public, if I could say something, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
So just for a little context, there was a list of requests for capital items around about this time last year. And other people in, other council people or other people on staff here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure all of those requests, they got nothing. Like they did not get those requests. We basically deferred everything for a year because of the year that we were facing once the pandemic hit. So the police station that needed new communications consoles, they didn't get them. That's been moved to this year. You've heard about the DPW items, the building, the vehicle, they all made do for a year without this stuff. And quite frankly, the request was larger, and we negotiated this down to really what do we need. That came out to 1.1 million. I hear you that there could have been a little bit more transparency or whatever. I think the not having an audit, certain other things played into this, so we probably could have done a better job. But just so everybody knows, this is capital stuff that got deferred for a year across departments.
Mr. Mayor, can I also make a comment?
Yes.
Ask a question. Agree with Councilman Weber and with Councilman Bennell, and I actually think as a council, we've done a really great job of sharpening pencils and narrowing the scope here. However, I can't help but appreciate the comments made by a number of people here that we probably should have workshopped this and given the public more of an opportunity to just weigh in. Perhaps there would be no changes at all, or perhaps there'd be changes that would, improve the end result. So my question to our CFO, Sandy, is what would it do to our process for, securing a lot of these capital improvements if we were to table this vote and basically start from scratch, create an opportunity for the public to weigh in and re-present this ordinance? What would that do to our timeline, and is it even feasible to consider that at this point?
I believe that the timeline is quite tight, Mr. Gubitosi. I think that getting this ordinance on the agenda when we did at the last meeting and then adopting it at this meeting kind of fit into the timeline where we have some of our debt coming due for payment in March. And what we were going to do was take this new debt and add it to that and refinance the whole amount together. So by pushing this down the road will enable us to do that.
It would enable us, I'm sorry, we can still refinance the debt coming due. We would just have to do it in two pieces, you're saying?
Yes. And when you're going out to bid for money, obviously banks would look at us more favorably if we have a larger sum, out for issuance.
So one further question, and maybe this piggybacks on what Councilman Bunnell said. If we are to move forward in adopting this resolution, that there's nothing precluding us from still having open public discussion about how, affecting the spend of these dollars. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And even to Mr. Cohen's point about putting the one Kubota into the beach, if that's what council so chooses to do, we can certainly do that. By adopting this ordinance, just gives me, actually, the CFO, the authority to borrow money if we need it. It doesn't mean that we are going to borrow the money. It just offers the authority to borrow that money. So we can do kind of whatever we want to once the ordinance is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. I'd weigh in on this, given Councilman Weber's comments and the fact that I don't think we spent any capital last year, and we had some things that we are in dire need of. I think we can always do better with disclosure and workshopping, and we'll take that under advisement. But I would recommend we move forward with this, with adopting this ordinance. So I'll make a motion to adopt.
Close the public hearing.
Oh, close the public hearing. I'm sorry. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, before you do that, Nancy Meadow had her hand raised again.
Yeah, sorry to bother you a second time with this issue, but I also wonder, even if right now, just to simplify things, usually there tends to be a person in Borough Hall during these meetings who is not on Zoom, and they could probably present their case for these expenditures. And I'm also curious with Mr. Bunnell, because you seem to know what people are getting. Is Public Works going to get another exercise in gym room at taxpayers' expense?
No.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Okay,
all
no-
the electronic hands, Mayor.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Mr. Bunnell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes.
Now we can make a motion to adopt.
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt 2021-3.
Second.
Mr. Bunnell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
I will vote yes with a commitment to make sure that we have public sessions to review the spend.
okay. Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, agenda item number 11, communications, raffle number 2021-1. It's an on-premise raffle at St. James Episcopal Church, 605 4th Avenue, Bradley Beach, on Saturday, May 22nd, 2021. I'd like to make a motion to move this to the consent agenda.
Second.
Mr. Bunnell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, consent agenda, number of items on the consent agenda. I'll just summarize those. 2021-62, bill list, February 9th, 2021. 2021-63, authorizing the County of Monmouth Mosquito Control Division to conduct aerial mosquito control operations within the borough of Bradley Beach. So those are the, then let me move to let me move to resolutions. We have a number of those. Resolution amending the 2021 temporary budget, 2021-65, resolution to approve Anthony Peno at $35 an hour on an as-needed basis to perform mechanical technician as a mechanical technician. I hope I got his name right, Peno. Resolution 2021-66, resolution to approve Sean Heater as the beach manager. 2021-67, resolution with support of liquor license reform in the state of New Jersey. Resolution 2021-68, resolution in support of New Jersey Senate Bill S-2964, New Jersey Assembly Bill A-492, which establishes a restricted alcohol beverage license that allows sale of beer, wine, and cider by the glass on premises of restaurants with full-service kitchens. 2021-69, resolution waiving sidewalk permit fees during the borough's sidewalk compliance program.
Then there's also 70,
70
which
for
is
the
70, I'm sorry, yes, we just
Labs.
renamed 70, which is resolution expressing support for Cinema Labs efforts to renovate and reopen the vacant movie theater located at 110 Main Street within the borough of Bradley Beach.
and 71 for the raffle.
Oh, and
No,
71 for the raffle. Thank you, Tim.
No.
No?
No, the raffle license was moved to the consent agenda. It
Okay.
doesn't get a resolution number, it just gets approved on the consent agenda.
Okay,
Thank you, Erica.
No problem.
Thank you for keeping us straight and narrow here. Okay.
Hey, can I make a comment about the consent agenda first, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, you can, Mr. Councilman Sexsmith.
Thank you. On the bill list, if you go to page 6 of the bill list, there's an item in the middle of page 52517 for $1,860 for a payment to Service Master for sanitizing police cars. I'm not sure if people remember or not, but back last spring when COVID really was kicking in big and hard, we made an emergency appropriation. I think it's the only capital purchase we made last year for an autoclave unit to sanitize the fire trucks, the ambulances for the first aid squad. Since that time, I made an inquiry to Ms. Rice, and we have paid about $17,000 to Service Master for sanitizing police cars. When I asked about it, the response I was given is that this is all refunded by the CARES Act, so there's not really any taxpayer money involved. And I just want to push back on that, because the CARES Act is all taxpayers' money. It's not just coming from the borough of Bradley Beach, but it's coming from everywhere. And we just need to be a lot more efficient in how we're spending our money going forward. So I'm going to approve the bill list tonight, but this is the last time I'm going to vote to approve a bill list that has this Service Master payment for sanitizing police cars on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask that the County of Monmouth Mosquito Control Division consent agenda 2021-63 be voted out separately.
Okay.
I also have a request. I don't know that we necessarily need to vote it out separately, but I noticed that on number 69, for waiving the fees for sidewalks, it includes language about a requirement of homeowners to repair sidewalks and gutters. That's road work. That's the town's responsibility. I don't know if the ordinances on sidewalks actually includes that, or it was just added into this, but that's not something that we want residents doing. That's something that gets done when the road gets redone, not piecemeal, house by house.
I don't believe it's a change to the current ordinance. So what you're questioning, I think, Councilman Bennell, is the current ordinance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would say that we approve the ordinance waiving the fees, but we need to circle back on the ordinance itself about the requirements and responsibilities for maintenance and upkeep. And if curbs and gutters are actually in that, that needs to be changed. That's not a resident's responsibility.
Okay, we can.
If a resident wants to do that, that's up to them. But again, it's really hard to say that for continuity of curbs and gutters, you have to do the whole road. You can't just do it one house at a time. It's not the right way to do it.
Yep. We can go back and look at that ordinance because I would have a question on that too. But I would vote, I would say with the caveat that we take a look back on those elements, but I think we want to try to waive the resolution.
That's what I'm saying. I'm good with waiving the fees, just with the understanding that we're gonna circle back and make sure that we're not having our residents do road work for us.
Yep. Okay, so what I heard was the only thing we want to pull out of the consent agenda is the 2021-63 mosquito control.
Yes, and just for clarity, I just want to make sure. So the consent agenda, we're just voting on these two items then, the bill list and the communication that was moved to the consent agenda, and we're doing all those other resolutions separately. Do I have that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, terrific, thanks.
Okay, so when we vote on the 2021-62, the bill list for February 9th, 2021, I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. So Councilman Gubatose, do you want to talk about 2021-63?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, this program, this spraying for mosquitoes, is important, and it's sponsored by the county. So we are, just authorizing the county to spray certain areas, described as areas that we fall under. But what caught my attention and what I was hoping to understand better was the reference that the county, anytime we're
Sorry,
spraying.
just to interrupt, there are about 5 people waiting in the waiting room. Sorry.
David?
Okay, well, I'll continue, and David, you decide if you can.
No, everybody's in. I'm not sure what that person was talking about. There was one person in there when he just said that, and they just showed up there.
Okay, great. I was going to say, anytime we're spraying pesticides, I just want to make sure that our residents are appropriately noticed and protected. And the wording in this resolution states that the county will notify our police department over which aerial pesticide operations are planned prior to commencement of such operation, and that they would give us 7 days notice. So my question is, given that 7 days notice, how will we notify the residents? What is the plan so that everyone is appropriately aware?
So if I can, Mr. Mayor, because naturally, the first time I saw this on an agenda, it concerned me as well. And I asked these questions a few years ago. And if I'm recalling this right, and I hope somebody on the call knows enough to confirm this or not, but this is not for routine spraying. It's not that they're definitely going to come and spray because, the calendar says to come and spray. This is so they have the approval, the county has the approval in case they need to do some kind of like emergency spraying, as in, okay, somebody needs to turn this person off. David?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Oh my God.
I took care of it, Councilman. Roger won't be back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Weber, you were saying.
Yeah, but I totally forgot what I was saying. No, I'm just kidding. It's not routine spraying. They need this authorization. So for example, if there's like an outbreak of West.
Hey, can we get that guy back in?
Can we mute these people, David, or just?
I'm working on it,
He
Councilman.
was
I'm
eating
trying.
the poo poo. The poo poo.
Jeff and Suzanne, David, if you need to do that.
I'm trying. My hands are always so. They won't be back either.
Terrific. Awesome. Third time's a charm. So if there's like an outbreak of West Nile virus, they don't need to wait.
So it's just those two guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. They don't need to wait, and you know, we say, oh, well, we don't have a council meeting for another 2 weeks, and then have to approve something. They have this approval in case it's needed. I can't answer you, Councilman Gubitosi, as to the mechanics of what actually gets communicated when, and and then how we in turn notify residents. But I'm very confident that this is not for any kind of routine spraying that's actually going to happen. It's in case there's emergency, they have an authorization in case there's an emergency.
And you may be right, Councilman Weber. I appreciate your guidance. The second whereas struck me that it suggests that it's instituted an integrated pest management program, which sounded a little more than, as needed, but you may be correct. I guess my real question is, how do we plan to notify the public should this spraying occur? Do we have a plan? And if not, I think it would be inappropriate, honestly, to approve this until we know that we're going to be able to communicate this to our residents.
Okay, and just so integrated pest management actually means using other methods besides pesticides first. So if there was, again, let's just say if there was some like West Nile virus, outbreak, and they thought one of our lakes was the culprit, they would see if they could use non-chemical, non-spraying means first. That's what integrated pest management means. So
but the word is program. That concerned me, that made me think it was something that was a bit more standardized of a process. So again, until I understand it better, I just think this is an important issue for the council to address. And Mr. Mayor, not to put you on the spot, but perhaps you and our BA, Mr. Brown, could just identify a plan to just communicate this to our residents should we be notified.
No, I think that's reasonable, Councilman Gubitosi. Absolutely.
And
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like if there was going to be some kind of aerial spraying or something like that, we could probably just use the, reverse 911, something that we would want to, same as we would for any other, situation, emergency, whatever.
I think because we're not going to be spraying anytime soon, we can table this for the next meeting.
The only problem is the county would like an answer on this by, shoot, I don't have a letter in front of me. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have time though. I think it's like April, like beginning of April. So
Yeah, we're not going to be spraying anytime soon, neither are they.
no, not now. No.
Okay, so we can push that then.
Do we need a motion to table?
Yes.
Motion to table.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Vanel?
Yes.
Mr. Gubitosi?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes. Thank you. Agenda item number 13, resolutions. First resolution, I quickly summarized those a few minutes ago, but 2021-64 is a resolution amending the 2021 temporary budget.
I did have a question, a couple of quick questions. I just wanted to better understand the amounts requested for engineering and for the tax collector. If our CFO could provide a brief explanation.
Sure. David had given me some proposals recently from the engineer. I think that he mentioned it at the last council meeting. They totaled $9,600. So that was amounting for the increase in some of the engineering fees. The tax collector's money is just additional operating expenses. Again, remember that when we formulated the temporary budget, we were only basing it off of 26.25% of last year's operating expenses. So as the time goes through before adoption of the a regular budget, we're going to need to add to the temporary budget periodically on various different meeting dates. So these, these are well underneath what our operating expenses for the 2021 year will be in any given category. We're just kind of easing those numbers up as we see that expenses are coming up.
I just, thank you, Sandy. I'm just trying to understand that, as you mentioned, the engineering estimate was just under 10,000. The amount on this ordinance is 20,000, and tax collector describes a salary and wages of 9. I appreciate that's approximately half of the annual salary for that position. So I'm wondering.
Right, but there are other salaries that also get charged there. We have people in the capacity in Borough Hall that act as assistants to the tax collector. So parts of their salaries get charged there as well. So just because you're referencing one particular employee's salary in that budget line item doesn't mean that that is all that's charged there.
But it is all for salary and wages?
On this agenda, on this resolution, yes, it's for salary and wages.
And were you also, I'm sorry for belaboring this, but were you also suggesting there's some additional engineering expenses that are anticipated above and beyond?
Yes, and it doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to spend it in the month of February or this month. It means that I'm putting that additional appropriation in there to get us through the period of time of the temporary budget. So maybe that is April, when we introduce or adopt a budget. That additional 20,000 will get us between now and that point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, make a motion to adopt 2021-64.
Second.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, 2021-65, it's a resolution to approve Anthony Pano to a $35 an hour on an as-needed basis to perform mechanical technician. Do I have a motion? I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, 2021-66, it is the approving Sean Heater for beach manager at $30,362.16 annually. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Two questions or comments, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
One is, at least on my copy, it's the number is incorrect. It's 20, it should be 2021, right?
Oh, 2021, I'm sorry. Yep, on your detail copy, yep.
And I guess I'm just curious, how did we derive this very unusual amount for an annual salary? Is right down to 16 cents? Is there a method to this madness, or?
Yes, Councilman, that is Sean Heater's current salary as the Recreation Director.
Really, David, right down to the penny, you're saying?
Right down to the penny, pulled right out of our new system paychecks.
It was a very tough negotiation.
Wasn't a new salary, so I had to take it as his salary is right now.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious. I thought perhaps it was a typographical error or something. Okay.
I think Sean's done a pretty good job. We should probably round it up.
Like, even 20
Okay.
cents.
Okay, thank you.
So do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, 2021-67, resolution in support of liquor license reform in New Jersey. Make a motion to approve.
Hey, can I just comment real fast, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna abstain on both 67 and 68 due to a conflict of interest. I do have a liquor license with the state of New Jersey, so I'm not going to vote on these.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilman Sexsmith.
So I will second it.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
I vote yes.
okay. Mr. Sexsmith, you abstained.
Abstain?
Mr. Weber
Yes.
and Mayor Fox.
Yes. Resolution 2021-68, resolution supporting New Jersey Senate Bill S-2964, New Jersey Assembly Bill A-492, which establishes a restricted alcohol beverage license that allows the sale of beer, wine, and cider by the glass on premises of restaurants with full-service kitchens. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Abstain?
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. 2021-69 resolution waiving sidewalk permit fees during the borough sidewalk compliance program. I'll come back to Councilman Bennell's request to review the curb and gutter portions of that ordinance, which we can do separately, but want to approve this resolution waiving the permit fees during this sidewalk compliance program. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second?
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, 2021-70, resolution expressing support for Cinema Lab's efforts to renovate and reopen the vacant movie theater located at 110 Main Street with the borough of Bradley, within the borough of Bradley Beach. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Bennell,
Yes.
Mr. Gubatose,
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Fox.
Yes. Okay, I think that's it for resolutions, unless I missed some of the crap from the front of the agenda. We'll now move to announcements. I'm not aware of any announcements in agenda item number 14. So we will move into mayor and council reports. I'll start. First, continue to ask for vigilance on COVID, on our COVID pandemic, both in the county and locally. However, I do have some promising news. Our active cases in Bradley Beach have dropped from 58 to 37 over the past week, which is very promising. In addition, the state rate of infection has dropped from 0.85% from 0.95%. For those who don't know, 1% is kind of the watermark where you get concerned if you go over that. So that's a 10% drop over a short period of time. Additionally, our cumulative vaccinations in the county were up, in the state were up over 30% from the prior week. So we are making some progress with this. So if there is any positives in this pandemic, we're starting to at least see some improvements. I'm sure everyone noticed that we had a few snowfalls last week. We had a few challenging storms. Our key departments, Public Works and Police, did a good job and worked very hard through some tough conditions, particularly the first storm. This is the first snowstorm, real snowstorm we've had in over 3 years. So we were all a little rusty, but the job got done and we appreciate all the efforts. One area that we really need to improve on is our participation in the emergency management system as residents. I'd like to see us at a 90% compliance rate in signups. When you are part of that system, you get a text and a phone message that tells you when you need to move your vehicle. Please go to our website and sign up on the OEM part of the site, or call the police station. They will sign you up. Again, thanks to DPW Police and our volunteer services, both EMS and fire, for the continued service to the community. Tourism Committee launched the Take the Pledge campaign last week to encourage purchasing takeout from our many excellent restaurants. We've seen some encouraging participation through Super Bowl Sunday. Next milestone will be Valentine's Day, where we'll try to continue to increase participation. To participate, go to our website, go to the top right, things to do, and then open for business, and you can sign up. Library will have new remote printing services available, which will enable patrons to send prints from home by email through an app or through a file upload. Keep an eye on the website and social media for updates. Public computer is still suspended at the library, and the library will be closed Monday, February 15th for President's Day. There are some upcoming virtual programs that I'd ask you to look at the website and participate in. That is my report. I'll turn it over to Councilman Bunnell.
Thanks, Larry. I don't really have much to say because you kind of stole my thunder there. DPW did a great job. Police did a great job. We got a couple more storms coming up. Everybody needs to make the effort and take the initiative to find out when and where they have to move their car.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Bunnell. Council President Kubitosi.
I'd like to begin my comments by calling out Erica for a second. Erica, I actually meant to say something back when we were approving out the minutes from last meeting, but I was very impressed by the work you did summarizing those minutes. For anyone who didn't get a chance to read them, they're over 15 pages long. And I was quite impressed that you captured so much information as you did. And I just want to give you a little shout out. Thank you for that that great work.
Thank you. That means a lot.
As speaking on behalf of the Finance Committee, as everyone heard earlier, we don't have an audit report yet from 2019, but we have an exit conference scheduled on Friday. So I guess that means we remain hopeful and optimistic that we will finally see the audit report. However, seeing will be believing. It's now over 4 months long. So hopefully our ongoing requests have got us close to closure on that. Separately, and I said this in the last meeting, I'm going to say it again, we need to expedite our efforts to complete the review of long-term debt refinancing that actually began latter part of last year and then was put on hold in large part because of the lack of an audit report. So I know our CFO is anxiously moving forward with our respective professionals to make sure that we can complete that exercise quickly. For Sylvan Lake, we actually, the Sylvan Lake Commission has spent a lot of time, and those are residents from Bradley Beach as well as from Avon, working on revising a charter that has basically existed for over 20 years and is really not at all reflective of the way the commission operates today. That said, no one got around to revising the charter until this past year. I would just want to tip my hat to the commission because they have completed a draft charter, a new charter that has been sanctioned by both Avon's attorneys and our attorney. The next step will be to bring that in the form of a resolution to the respective councils. And once we do that, I'm hopeful that this charter can also serve as a basis for our upgrading of a similar charter we have in place for Fletcher Lake, the north end of town. Regarding the community center, I mentioned last meeting how excited I was that we have two very renowned architects volunteering their time to support our evaluation of that building. And our local resident, Courtney Wollaston, actually got into the building today and began the process of measuring the building. So that's just very exciting. The other architect, again, is Lyndon DeShampkin, who is quite well known in the industry and is the sister of our resident, Paul DeShampkin. I also want to say regarding the community center that Mayor Fox is working to restructure a committee that's been in place to just hopefully make it, more action oriented and hopefully to be able to enable us all to deliver a thorough assessment of the opportunities for that building, hopefully within the next 3 months. And then finally, I want to mention only that a number of our residents have reached out to ask what resources are available from Bradley Beach in the event of an emergency where there's a loss of power in this cold weather with storms, winter weather. Where can they go for heating and or recharging of their cell phones should they lose power? The short answer currently is the fire station, the firehouse. We do have generator and we do have backup. The mayor's planning to work on expanding our processes for communicating these services to our residents. But I just wanted to make sure that was known to all that the firehouse is currently the place, and in the event of any questions at all, please contact the police. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gubitosi. Let's move to Councilman Sexsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start off with fire and first aid. The first aid squad, there was so far in the month of February, there were 14 day calls, 4 night calls for a total of 18. 16 were for medical, 1 was for fire, and 1 was a COVID-19 call. In keeping with their goal of 100% participation in the state vaccination effort, 2 of our members have received their second vaccination doses, while 3 have received their first. Moving on to the fire department, the department responded to 1 request for the department, 3 assists to the first aid squad for a driver. The probationary members are doing well at the academy. The fire department is also committed to 100% participation in the state vaccination effort. They have 4 on the list to be vaccinated with the first shot and 3 who have received their final. As always, they're looking for volunteers for both fire and first aid. They offer free training for qualified individuals. Anyone wishing to volunteer for the fire departments and first aid squads, applications can be found on the borough website. And again, as you read through these lists of calls, it's very obvious the close cooperation that those 2 units have with each other and helping to support the borough's needs. Moving on to the police department. The police responded to a reported fire on Newark Avenue and upon arrival found the residents attempting to extinguish a burning wood and plastic in the attic of the home. The patrols were able to extinguish the fire and evacuate the residents. The Bradley Beach Fire Department, along with the assistance from neighboring agencies, responded to ensure the fire was out and the smoke was cleared. And the police also arrested a known local resident for criminal trespassing when he was found in the basement of an apartment complex he did not belong in. I'd also like to say thank you to the police department. They have reevaluated the positive trend on the COVID situation that the mayor discussed earlier, and have once again started doing the fingerprinting for the volunteers for the fire and the first aid squads. Going on to snow, one last time, speaking with Public Works, one of the things that is key to their ability to quickly, efficiently, and effectively clear the streets is the participation in people moving their cars and parking on the alternate sides of the streets when they're called upon to do so. It takes a surprisingly small number of cars to make their job very, very difficult and make the job seem very incomplete, and also require them to come in and repeat plowing areas that normally they could be done with and move on. So I'd like to echo the mayor's call for everyone to sign up for the reverse 911 and the OEM notifications, because it makes it all very easy. You can get a phone call, you can get an email, I think you can get a text message, uh, but it helps Public Works do their jobs better. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman
Oh,
Sexsmith.
I'm sorry.
Councilman
Can I,
Weber?
can I take my dime back for 2 seconds? I'm sorry. I also wanted to thank the residents who were on the call who provided us with some critical feedback about our openness with this bond ordinance. We can always improve, and the way we improve is by getting comments back from members of the public who identify areas where we need improvement. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Sexsmith. Councilman Weber.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, you got to move your car, but you got to shovel your sidewalk too. So I inquired with the Community Development Department, and they said 27 people got notice of violations for not shoveling their sidewalk. And I don't think they're totally done because, we had a snowfall week after another snowfall. So it might have been more than that. They don't want to give out these violations. We want compliance. We want people to remember that they have to shovel their sidewalks. So if you're, make sure your neighbors know. And if your neighbors are summer people, make sure they have some kind of arrangement. I'm starting to think the whole reverse 911 thing, we can actually add to that in addition to all the information about moving their cars. We can maybe remind people that they have to shovel their sidewalks as well. So I think that would be very helpful to the borough. And I guess Mike Mulcahy just raised his hand. So I think it's about this. So why don't you go ahead there, Mr. Mulcahy?
Yes, Councilman, thank you very much. When I sent you that email, we were not done with everything. We wound up sending out 57 notices of violation. We also wrote 8 summonses.
Okay.
We had numerous phone calls over the weekend about 7-Eleven. I reached out to the owners. He promised me he was going to do it. He promised me he was going to do it. And he still promised me he's going to do it, but he was already been issued a summons because it had already gotten too far. The majority of, I would say, of the 57, I would say 53 of them are homes. 4 of them may be businesses. We did go ahead and there are pictures that go along with everything. So in case people want to fight it, there's really nothing to fight right now because all we've said is there's a violation. We gave them a date of Friday to get it taken care of. Unfortunately, we're scheduled for 2 snowstorms in between then, but these people are aware of the fact is, are aware of the fact is that we are out there and we are looking at 24 hours after the last snowfall. We will then go out and find people who are not in compliance and compel them to come into compliance before they have to go see a judge, inevitably.
Thanks, Mr. Mulcahy. And yeah, I appreciate you making that distinction. The notice of violation is just, you have to correct it. It's not, you don't have to pay a fine. You don't have to do anything, it's after subsequently not correcting it, that other stuff kicks in. So I appreciate that. I just want to mention since we're shoveling sidewalks, the ordinance we did for the sidewalks, I think it's a great approach. If people have sidewalks that are out of whack, it is their responsibility. They're going to have to fix it. I just want to be clear. We waive the fee to apply to the town.
You are your own worst enemy.
People are going to have to still pay, to fix their sidewalk, but they just don't have to pay any kind of fee to the town there. So that's, I think we're on the right path with that. That's great. Kind of fits in with the Shade Tree Commission. A couple people have applied because they say to take down a street tree because it's, pulling up the sidewalk, and the Shade Tree Commission has usually said yes, because they're going to replace the tree and they're going to fix the sidewalk. So I think it's nice that now they're not going to have to pay the fee to the town just to do the sidewalk. I want to make a mention about COVID. I know the mayor said it. Please don't let your guard down, people. I just want to remind everybody that there's a spike after every holiday. We had a spike after Thanksgiving and after Christmas, and there's going to be a big one after the Super Bowl. So I would say keep your guard up. If you know people that were at Super Bowl parties, like maybe don't associate with those people. We're going to get a spike, but the rest of the news out there is actually pretty good. Vaccinations are up, and cases are down, and they're staying down. So don't contribute to the bump. Keep your distance and all that stuff. And I just want to thank David Brown. I know he did mention the thing about the liquor license. He kind of glossed over the fact that he's been part of this a working group, a task force, whatever you will have about downtowns, and he put a lot of work into that. So, and that's where that came from. And speaking of downtowns, I got a chance to read I guess it's called the walkability report, whatever that, it was a pretty substantial report, near 60 pages, and finally finished that last week. And it's a great read, and you learn a lot about our town, and you see it through eyes, differently than you ever have. That's with the exception of Mr. Cohen, because he's been asking for hashed crosswalks and things like that as long as I've been coming to council meetings. So maybe he'll be very happy if we get that grant and we get all that stuff done. So if you have a chance to read that walkability report, please do. That's it for the rest of my report. And it was great to see everybody tonight. And thanks for all the discussion about the theater. I appreciate that too.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Weber. We'll now move to public comments. It's a 5-minute limit on comments, please.
First, we have Harvey Rosenberg. Please state your name and address.
Harvey Rosenberg, 313 Half Ocean Park Avenue. First, just a comment to the sidewalk fee of permit, but I still think you need a building permit so the sidewalks are inspected, the right rebar and cement is in to be inspected. Is that correct?
That's correct, and we corrected the resolution to reflect that, Mr. Rosenberg. So
And I think the public should know that as well.
yeah,
So that's why I'm bringing that back up, because it wasn't in the comment. Number two is the DPW does a great job in the snow plowing, police protecting everything. I think something the council and the DPW should get in contact with is when we're doing plowing and everybody's putting garbage cans out. In other towns, usually what this happens is garbage collection or recycle is canceled that day. It should be part of this report because you find garbage cans shoved up into the snow. People can't get them out. They get broken and such. I think another thing that day and during that time, the garbage should be suspended whenever you pull the alternate side parking and the plowing. I think it saves some people some headaches, garbage cans, also easier for the DPW.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg. We'll bring that up with DPW because that was a question that came up during the storms, and I think DPW was trying to fulfill all their duties. But you raised an interesting dilemma, so we'll bring that up. Thank you.
I remember my previous life. Whenever that happened, when they did snow plowing, there was no parking on the street. There was still garbage collection was canceled for those nights. It came out in the ordinance. Going back, I didn't make a comment in the theater. I mean, I like the theater. I've been in Bradley Beach for over 60 years, so I know what it is. But the problem is, it's a business, and like every business, the if factor. And if we get involved with dollars, are we part of the if factor? We're going to give money, but I think as any company, any business, if they want to take a chance, the risk is it's for profit. If Bradley Beach owns the risk of the profit, that's okay too, but then we're taking a risk of a loss. Also, we're going to go in competition with ourselves. We're involved in promoting a theater. We're involved in promoting the church redo, plus we have a senior center. So we're going to go into a competition business with ourselves when we get involved with monetary and all three ventures. End of my comment.
Thank you. At this time, we have Nancy Meadow.
Yeah, we spent 52 minutes discussing the theater, and I am, as I said before, a supporter of the arts. And Mr. Gubitosi stole my thunder, part of it, but I will be reiterating and repeating the biggest secret in Bradley Beach, and we spend almost no time discussing it, although Mr. Gubitosi did mention that it's being worked on. I'm not talking about the little secrets like who does all the typographical and messes up our publications or why there's a gym at DPW, which we're going to, thank goodness, get rid of. I'm talking about why the public is kept in the dark regarding its emergency shelter. It's not a matter of reverse 911. That provides a totally different service. The public needs to know where the shelter is, and I've said this before. And actually, we need really 2 shelters, one for each end of town. I would also think that during COVID, we would need 2 shelters due to a minimal capacity. And what amenities are there when people pack a to-go bag in the event of an emergency? Where can they go? Does their medication need refrigeration? Can they bring their pet? This should be common knowledge, and shame on you, Mr. Mayor, for not addressing that. And to have it come back to me as the person who inquired, oh, we'll call the police. If I have no power, I can't call the police, let alone would I want to. It is disgusting. It is disgraceful. You stated in your January 1st blog, you would disappoint some people. You have not at all disappointed me. I knew I was going to get Schuler version 3 and Engelstadt version 2. And this cannot be put off any longer. I've been addressing this concern since July. And it's mind-boggling to me. As a teacher, my first responsibility is to keep people safe. And I requested before you were mayor, I will admit this, there needs to be a maintenance schedule for these facilities. I'm not going to determine what it is. I'm not a licensed plumber. I'm not a licensed engineer or electrician, but I would like to believe we don't have to hire someone for regularly scheduled to go and look at these things. Of all the secrets in this town, including the person who actually gave a demonstration on the website, how to use the portal, doesn't identify themselves. Whoever is sitting in this meeting room, not on Zoom, not identifying themselves. I don't understand it. And what it really comes down to me, is I believe we do not have a plan. And I really hope that Mr. Nunes reports on this all, because I'm sick and tired of having to come here and speak for the public. Failing to plan is planning for failure. And your primary responsibility as the chief executive is to figure this all out and hold responsible the department heads. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Marianne Spillman.
Thank you, Marianne Spillman, 902 Ocean Avenue. I see that we have expenses again for legal fees for identified cases, SBBB, Caveman, and Evergreen. And the question of how much these suits are costing us is never identified or summarized. I would like to see for each of the cases that we are sued as a borough, what they cost us to defend in legal and engineering costs, and what the final resolution or settlement or final judgment is in each case. So what it cost, what the resolution was, why we were sued in the first place, and what we gained from the dollars spent in each of those cases. So they just kind of get lost in the shuffle of individual fees and the length of time that these things take. But we need to know what we learn as a borough from these cases. So I'd like to see a summary specifically of those 3 cases that are on this month's payments, and the summary for the whole costs of those suits, each one. And I'd like to see that at the next council meeting, a summary similar to the way we have each councilman summarizing things. Maybe Greg Cannon as the attorney can summarize these cases for us and the cost of these cases.
Thank you.
Mayor, I can do that right now if she doesn't, no one has to wait till the next meeting. if you'd like.
Oh, you know, do you know the costs of each, Greg?
I should hope so. I'm the one charging you, right?
No, not only you, but there's engineering too.
So, I mean, well, the engineer doesn't have a lot of involvement in the three cases. I mean, the SBBB case, the Save Bradley Beach case, has cost the borough $7,305 to date in legal fees and $449.39 in expenses. So that's about $7,800 for the forgive me, that's the Januzzi versus Bradley Beach matter, about $7,800. The Save Bradley Beach boardwalk matter, and you have to forgive me, my system loads pretty slowly when there is an ongoing Zoom. For Save Bradley Beach boardwalk versus the Borough of Bradley Beach, the borough has incurred this is all through today, $5,790 in legal fees and $330.34 in expenses. I'm sorry, what was the third litigation you asked about?
I see that there's something called Evergreen.
Oh, that's the Januzzi versus Bradley Beach matter.
Oh, okay. That was the first one you mentioned. Is that settled now, or where are we in each of these cases?
I'm sorry. Are you talking about the ones under executive? The third one is, I think it's Barrett versus Bradley Beach, which is defended by the JIF, and the JIF covers the legal fees and expenses for that. The borough has a $2,500 deductible for that case. So in terms of the status of the matters, the Save Bradley Beach Boardwalk, as you saw the termination of the actual project that underpins that case. Obviously it's subject to negotiation between me and their counsel, but looks like that case will be resolved this month, amicably between the parties given the termination of the project. Two, the Januzzi versus Bradley Beach matter is scheduled for trial, I believe, on February 22nd. The parties are still briefing the case, so there's 2 more briefs due, and then there'll be a trial in that matter. That's a prerogative writ action. It's a zoning matter. And then the last matter, Barrett versus Bradley Beach, there is a pending settlement that the governing body may approve, is considering, and that's why it's been on the executive session agenda. I've been discussing that with the governing body each time. So those are the 3 matters.
What was the last one, Greg, you just said?
The Barrett versus Bradley Beach matter, the JIF Defense Council has reached a tentative settlement subject to governing body approval.
Okay, and so for each of those, why were we sued in the first place?
So the Save Bradley Beach Boardwalk, the plaintiff sued to challenge the borough's award of a contract or lease for the retired utility building restaurant. It was really filed in the form of a land use suit, but it really challenged public contracting as well. So that was the reason there. It was challenging the governmental action. The borough was a defendant. In the employment lawsuit, it's an employment lawsuit. And obviously there's public stuff about that. It's a personnel matter, so I'm not going to go into the details of that lawsuit, but obviously that it's an employment dispute. And the Januzzi matter is a zoning enforcement matter, challenging the rulings of the zoning board and zoning officer. In that case, the plaintiffs are challenging the zoning officer, and the defendants also are in the case, or another property owner in the town are challenging the zoning board's determination, and the court's going to tell us who is correct, and the borough it has to participate because we're a necessary party in that matter. So that's the 3.
Okay, so what did we learn? Are all of these settled, or they're not settled yet?
So I can tell you what we learned. I mean, in Save Bradley Beach Boardwalk, as I think I've said it out loud here at the meeting, that if I was the borough attorney at the time, I probably would have set up a slightly different process that may have been less legally questionable to result in a lawsuit. I think we learned that here, and the mayor and council and I have had long discussions about that. In the Januzzi lawsuit, I think you saw we learned about the ambiguities in our zoning ordinances, and you saw a lot of residents and myself working very hard on these zoning ordinances over the last year to try to solve that problem, to provide clarity, because the borough has no choice but to participate in these litigations as defendants. So to try to avoid that situation again. In the Barrett versus Bradley Beach lawsuit, I'm not going to comment on what any remedial actions or recommendations or anything that's going on, because it's a personnel matter, and I can't. But lessons are learned every time there's a conflict. So that's what the adversarial process is about.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for, is what we learned.
I work for you guys. So, I mean, any questions you have that I can tell you, I'm more than happy to answer.
Thank you very much. I like hearing that there are things that we learned from this that we won't be going to court again over some of these same problems of zoning and processes, et cetera.
Yeah, that's the paradox of my job. The better job I do, the less money I make, but more people like me. So
You're right about that, Greg. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Next, we have Don Greenberg.
Hi, Don Greenberg, 302 Park Place Ave. I agree with the mayor's assertion that we need to get up to 90% on the reverse 911. My question is, there's about a dozen or so people on this call. What is the town's plan to reach out to those of us that are not on the call and are not already on the 911 plan? A lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people don't know how to get involved in it. Are you going to send something out with the water, with the sewer bills maybe? I mean, what is the plan to get 90% compliance?
It's, I can answer that. It's in process. We've gone out to any number of social media sources we have. We've also used the town website in a couple of places within the website. We've got some other plans in the works right now to advertise it even more based on some things we did in prior years.
Such as?
Oh, and COs. Yeah, okay, and we also are putting it on our COs as we come up. We're thinking about things like maybe some temporary lawn signs in key places. We're thinking about business card kind of advertisements at different parts of town where we can just leave those and people can pick them up, see them, and sign up. So we're going through a number of options right now to increase the number.
What about a direct mail campaign? I realize there's costs associated with that, but we're not a big town. What about, just a direct mail campaign we can get a discount from the post office and swear we're not a profit or an agency. We're basically a nonprofit. And what about putting it in the sewer bills, putting a little flyer in the sewer bills? Now, obviously that's not going to get renters, but it will get all the owners. And, hopefully the owners as landlords will make their renters aware of the fact that they have to, move it off the south side, move it off the east side, et cetera.
Yeah.
Is that something that we could do?
Yeah, we can look at that too. But thanks for that feedback.
Yeah, and is a direct mail campaign on the table?
It has not been, no.
That would hit every single house in Bradley Beach.
Yeah, but we could also accomplish that with the tax bill or with the sewer bill. So,
but not renters. That wouldn't hit renters.
Correct. Yeah, but when you get a CO, when you have a renter, you have a CO, so it should be accomplished there. But your point's well taken. We can look at that too.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, when you and Al were running for mayor, there was a bunch of us out, dropping flyers off in pretty much every mailbox, every door in town. Maybe a call to volunteers to just distribute flyers around town.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting idea too. So
I would volunteer for that.
Okay.
So that's one. I'll do Park Place.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that input.
Thanks, Mayor.
Next is Kim Januzzi.
Hey, Kim Januzzi, 608 Evergreen Avenue. I just wanted to follow up on the comments that were made about the litigation that is currently filed against the borough. So again, I think the fact that the answer is that what you learned is that the ordinances are ambiguous. It is just shocking in light of everything that's happened and what brought us to file the lawsuit in the first place. In fact, we brought the lawsuit because this was an enforcement action where we had a zoning board resolution that said that a structure that our neighbor had built was not appropriately permitted. It was outside the scope of the zoning officer's authority to give the permit. It's an illegal structure. The zoning board was very clear that that was the case. And when we tried to get the town to enforce that ruling, we were kind of thwarted at every turn. So we filed a writ to get enforcement in the court. There have also been lots of irregularities in terms of how the process unfolded within the borough, with borough officials, communications between officials, between our neighbor. And so we also have a civil rights case that's pending as well. So just wanted to clarify, how we got to this point. I'm sorry that we had to get to this point. But again, the fact that the only lesson that has been learned is that the ordinances were ambiguous, which is in fact not true, is very concerning. So anyway, Ms. Spillman, I just wanted you to have more of the facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Thomas Cohen.
Thomas Cohen, 612 3rd Avenue. Mr. Brown, I appreciate you going around town with that facade grant that the county has. At 320 Main Street is Chianti's Hair Salon, and the windstorm blew their awning down and it's destroyed. So it might be a great place to stop and see them. They really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And also, in terms of the Zoom, I was on a Zoom meeting yesterday in Howell Township, a Howell Township zoning board meeting. They use a totally different format where you don't get those pop-up screens that we got tonight. You actually have to email in your request to be on the meeting so everyone knows who you are. And the public doesn't get to interact until they're invited in. So I think it may be good to look out. Eileen Rabano is the board secretary in Howell Zoning Board, and she ran an amazing meeting with this different form of software from Zoom. Because I'd like us not to be interrupted like that again. We got real business to do here. And then I look forward to Thursday's exit conference, but beyond that, I do look forward to Mr. Stankiewicz coming in and reviewing the documents with us from 2019. I think that would be appropriate based on what's inside and what the recommendations are. Mr. Rosenberg's comments tonight are accurate. Avon does suspend garbage in their ordinance, so that may be something we do want to look at. I agree with Mr. Rosenberg on that and his other comments about the theater. I don't know if people are going to believe that. We agreed. Also, I'm just a little puzzled tonight, Mayor, because you said that this has been ongoing for 3 or 4 months, but only now is the public finding out about it. I mean, that would tell me that this has a little odor of Engelstadt on it. And I mean, that's the way things have been done. In the back.
I'll clarify that point. This was in the newspapers starting in November. So ongoing talks or even conversations with various council members, that was public information. If you look at the Coaster or CoStar, this isn't anything that was done in some kind of a closed room session. It was discussed that there'd be some updates and conversation, and that's all that's taken place.
But there was no mention in the videos, there's no mention in the newspapers about the town contributing. So if this has been going on for 3 or 4 months, why have we been in the dark and it's been done in the back room?
Nothing's been done in the back. Nothing's been done in the back room.
How could it not have been? I mean, I don't want you to get this odor of Engelstadt on you this early. So if we could just do things out front, I think it would be much healthier. Those are my comments for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I don't see any other electronic hands, so I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Okay, I think that closes the public comments, and we'll now make a motion to go into executive session and close the regular meeting. I'll make that motion.
The topics, do we have the topics?
Craig, you want to cover the topics real quick?
I believe it was the 3 litigations I explained earlier.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
And do we, I'm sorry, Erica could bitch speak. I believe it's just the 3.
Yes, it's Save Bradley Beach Boardwalk versus Bradley Beach, Barrett versus Bradley Beach, and oh goodness, lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, and Cinema Labs. So it's legal and contractual.
The 2 of the 3 and the contract.
Right, 2 of them are litigation, and 1 of them is contract.
So
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Bennell? Oh, okay, I see, thumbs up. Mr. Gubatose?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, council, before you go, will there be action taken after the executive session? It's a question in the chat.
Not. that
No
I'm aware
action.
of.
No action.
Thank you. That's all I need to know.
Okay. Thank you all.
Hey, Dave, while we're waiting for everyone else to join, so you asked me for that form concession license. I put it out all together. And I
Thank
checked all the notices so you can fill it in. All the notices are fine. And then you can, I gave you a form with all the ancillary documents and the exhibits. So you can basically just package them for each one. That's the way I set it up.
Mail that to me.
I'm going to send it to you, Erica and Michelle all together in the same email.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Do
Okay,
we
I'm
have
back.
it? We have everybody back?
Yep.
Yes. I'm
Missing
hitting-
Randy. Missing Randy.
Okay.
Dave, any idea who live stream is?
Yeah, that's us. That's me. That's YouTube.
I just
So
didn't want
YouTube,
to get another
we're still
surprise video.
alive on. I have it over here on the screen here. We're still alive.
Okay.
Oh, I thought that was a suspect person, David. That's why I was like, look out for the live.
No. I named it live stream, so I know what it is. Trying to be the YouTube director, kick people out of meetings, answer questions all at the same time. All right, Randy's coming in. I'm hitting record now.
Okay, want to make a motion to adjourn the February 9th council meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Till we meet again, gentlemen.
Bye.
Thank you, Erica.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks,
Bye,
Dave.
guys.
Hey, guys.